Hey, what's up you beautiful feckers? How you all doing? Happy now? So what are the best puncture weapons in Warframe? Weapons that deal more than 75% puncture damage at base damage. Now that's the important thing to remember about these three videos I've made, about the slash damage, impact damage and now puncture damage. Below 75% and you're better off modding with a 90% elemental mod. Hell, even at 75% on impact and puncture, you're better off with an elemental mod. Slash on the other hand is a different story. Above 75% and of course you could stick on a 120% puncture mod like August Strike or Breach Loader or whatever to basically increase those puncture results. But even then, elemental mods would probably serve you better because how they scale with your overall damage. Right now in Warframe, puncture status effects reduce the enemy's damage output by a flat 30%, no higher, so it doesn't actually puncture anything. But with the supposed damage 2.5 changes, instead of the damage reduction being a flat 30%, it will now start at 10% and scale as high as 75% damage reduction based on how hard that puncture shot actually hits the target. So a weapon like the Optical, which deals 850 puncture damage, which is 85% of its overall IPS damage type, will probably hit hard enough to have that 75% damage reduction applied to your target, whereas a weapon like say the Prisma Tetra, which deals 28 puncture damage per shot, which is 80% of its total IPS damage types, will probably deal somewhere between 10% and that 75% damage reduction. Now I'm not sure if each shot is going to stack up as high as 75%, they haven't told us that yet, but I'd assume that it's not. Now as far as how puncture works and it giving us that damage reduction, I think we will all agree that the best damage reduction in game is a dead enemy. Limbs, dreams, bodies and of course Gary the Grenier running for his fucking life over the hills. Reducing enemy armor or giving us mini weak points on our target would be much better and fit the whole puncture name better than what it does right now, make it actually puncture something. So what are the best puncture weapons in game right now? Weapons that still should be good with damage 2.5. Of course there will be honourable mentions at the end of these videos, I couldn't fit everything into one video. So first up is our big fucking gun, the so-called Spartan laser of Warframe, the Opticore. Nothing says fuck right off and get out of my personal space like a high powered laser beam to the face. It's a hit scan weapon that deals 1000 base damage. Like I said, 850 of this is puncture, literally our hardest hitting puncture weapon in the game, so it had to make the list. It's got a solid crit chance and a solid status chance. It's also a weapon that a lot of players in game right now are running with hunter munitions because of those critical numbers and how it gives you those huge bleeds, those huge forced bleeds with certain critical hits. It also has an innate punch through, which is very nice for dealing with multiple targets, and out on the plains the Opticore is a pretty amazing weapon for taking out some of those dropships. Now the Opticore also deals a 5 meter magnetic explosion around its point of impact, which can be increased with the Firestorm mod if you want to go for a larger splash damage output. Now this kind of makes it the ideal weapon for say a Vortex Boobin or a Spaghetti Nidus. Group your targets up and of course blow them until you're happy. I mean blow them away until you're happy. Our next weapon is one that will bring out the Seaman in you. Poseidon. That's Poseidon, I mean, not what you're thinking. It's the Vacor Sidon, our blinding polearm that deals 80 puncture damage. That's 95% of its total IPS. It deals 0 slash damage, none whatsoever, don't expect bleeds, and it only deals 4 impact. So this is pretty much the puncture weapon in the game. The cool thing about the Vacor Sidon is it has the ability to store up 15 incoming shots by blocking them and then release it as an Excalibur styled radial blind, which will blind enemies inside a 15 meter radius. But if you mod for reach or primed reach, then that range of course will increase. And of course blinded enemies are open to finishers, which almost always guarantees a kill, and the blind also is perfect for giving you a breather if shit hits the fan. Now the next weapon is one that a lot of players run with because of how damn good they are at keeping you alive. These are the short-ranged infested sparring weapons, the Gerudo. Now 80% of the Gerudo's base damage is puncture at 44 puncture damage per hit, which will probably not give you the full 75% damage reduction, but They heal you while you're punching the teeth clean out of your enemy's head, which is fucking amazing. It also shares the highest crit damage multiplier out of our melee weapons, which means it's going to hit relatively hard regardless. So the Hirudo has an innate healing buff of 5% on every critical hit that you deal, and it scales up to 25% of your base health for every critical hit. Now, perfect for in Nidus or in Inaros. I know a lot of players love running with these on Inaros because of their high base health pools. Now, you can keep your health being topped off constantly with the Hirudo if you're running a Blood Rush body count combo. Expect red crits aplenty, and of course they are fast and they give you those non-stop heals. The only problem with the sparring weapons is of course their range, along with the breakdancing combos that you can sometimes get locked into if you spam your melee button too much, which can at times make you take huge chunks of damage or even die. Now, the next weapon is an old school powerhouse that's still one of the best pistols in Warframe, and it looks fantastic. It deals 120 puncture damage at base, which is 80% of its total APS. It fires slow but hits really hard. The Lex Prime requires you to be able to land those headshots because of its slow fire rate and its near 2.5 second reload time. You honestly don't want to be whiffing your shots with the Lex Prime because it can be costly. You want to make the most out of each life-ending bullet. It was once one of the best snipers in Warframe, which is crazy for a pistol, and it's a pistol that looks both amazing but also has an even balance of 25% status and 25% crit chance, which means you can have a great hybrid build if you want to mod for one or the other, or maybe both. Honestly, just landing headshots with the Lex Prime is very, very satisfying, and the fact that it fires really slow and reloads slow but comes with a high crit chance maybe makes it the ideal sidearm for running with Harrow. Now, our final weapon could have been one of many. We actually have got a lot of really decent puncture weapons. It could have been the Boltor, a Paris Prime, a Zuge, a Destreza, although the Destreza kind of relies on those forced bleeds from its stance. It could have been the new Akbolto Prime, which are an amazing weapon but only deal 27 puncture per bullet. Or it could even have been the Telos Boltus, so you could spin to win. But instead I decided to put the Snipertron Vandal in this list because it's a hard-hitting puncture weapon that will more than likely give you the maximum amount of damage reduction with damage 2.5 when it hits, if the changes stay the way that they've mentioned. So the Snipertron Vandal deals 180 puncture damage. That's 90% of its base total. It's a sniper rifle, so you may love it or you may not enjoy sniper rifles whatsoever. It deals 25% crit chance and it has a 50% headshot damage multiplier with its maximum zoom, although it's got 30% with its normal zoom. It reloads faster than, say, the Lex Prime. It has innate punch through and it hits incredibly hard when you land those perfect headshots. Running with a Banshee or even with a Harrow will amplify the damage that you throw out with this weapon by a lot, and again with Harrow you will have that reload speed, the crit buffs, not to mention you will be able to chain enemies up so you can land those perfect headshots. So in terms of some of our best IPS weapons, we have of course got the Volkar Wraith and the Rubico for impact, which are ranged, and now you've got the Snipertron Vandal and of course the Opticore as well, which are ranged for puncture. So when are we going to get a slash based sniper rifle? Oh, that's right, we've got the Tigris Prime, don't we? Literally the best sniper in the game. So that's the so-called best puncture weapons in Warframe. Like I said in the last few videos about the impact and slash, just because your favourite puncture weapon isn't here on this list doesn't make it a shit weapon. It just means I couldn't fit it on the list because the video would be too damn long. Now do me a huge favour and hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.